Close your eyes for a second and think about your go-to password. Maybe it is your childhood dog's name followed by a couple of numbers. Or perhaps it is a variation of your favorite sports team combined with an exclamation point. To you, that string of characters feels like a sturdy iron bolt on your digital front door. But to a modern hacker using a basic consumer-grade graphics card, that password isn't a bolt, it is a wet paper ribbon waiting to be shredded. Right now, automated scripts are churning through billions of character combinations every single second. And for most people watching this, their entire digital identity, bank accounts, private messages, and years of photos could be compromised in less time than it takes to boil a pot of water. We are living in an era where traditional password wisdom is not just outdated, it is dangerous. Today, we are pulling back the curtain on the terrifying speed of modern brute force attacks to show you exactly how the bad guys bypass your security in under 3 minutes. But more importantly, we are going to reveal the one specific psychological shift in how you create credentials that makes you virtually unhackable, even for the most powerful supercomputers on the planet. To understand how a hacker breaks in so fast, we have to debunk the myth of the human hacker. You probably imagine a shadowy figure in a hoodie manually typing guesses into a login screen, 3 attempts at a time. That version of reality only exists in the movies. In the real world, hackers use what we call offline attacks. They don't try to log into your Facebook account directly while Facebook's security systems are watching. Instead, they find a massive breach from a smaller, less secure website where you might have used the same email and password. They download a list of hashes, which are scrambled, encrypted versions of passwords, and they take that list to their own high-powered machines. Once they have that encrypted file, they can guess millions of passwords a second without anyone ever knowing they are there. They aren't fighting your bank's security. They are fighting the laws of mathematics in a race where they have a massive head start. Let's talk about the raw power of a modern GPU, or graphics processing unit. The same hardware people use to play high-definition video games is actually a world-class code-breaking machine. While a standard computer processor can do a few tasks at once very quickly, a GPU can do thousands of tiny tasks simultaneously. This is perfect for brute forcing. A mid-range graphics card can test about 100 billion combinations per second for certain types of encryption. If your password is 8 characters long and only uses lowercase letters, there are about 200 billion possible combinations. Do the math. A hacker's machine could cycle through every single possible option for your password in about 2 seconds. Even if you add numbers and symbols, if you stay within that 8-character limit, you are barely buying yourself a few minutes of safety. The speed of hardware has moved so fast that the 8-character rule we were all taught in the early 2000s is now a recipe for total compromise. But hackers don't just guess randomly. They use something called dictionary attacks and rule-based attacks. They know how humans think. We are incredibly predictable creatures. We love to capitalize the first letter. We love to put the number 1 or an exclamation point at the very end. We love to replace the letter S with a $sign or the letter A with an @ symbol. Hackers have databases of billions of real passwords leaked from previous breaches. They feed these lists into their software, which then applies rules to them. It will take the word password and automatically try every variation like P at SS word 123 or password 2024 within milliseconds. If your password follows a pattern that a human would find clever, a computer has already calculated it. You aren't being creative. You are following a behavioral script that was mapped out years ago. This brings us to the biggest vulnerability of all: password reuse. This is the God mode for hackers. They don't need to break into your bank if they can break into a random fitness forum where you signed up 5 years ago. Once they have your core password from that insecure site, they use automated tools to try that same combination across every major service: Gmail, PayPal, Amazon, and Netflix. This is called credential stuffing. They are essentially using a master key that you gave them. If you use the same password for more than one site, you are not just at risk. You are already compromised, and it is only a matter of time before an automated bot finds the link. So, what is the one change that stops them? It isn't adding more symbols. It isn't changing your S to a $. The secret is a shift from complexity to length. Specifically, we are talking about the passphrase. Instead of trying to remember a garbled mess like tree0gubel3, which a computer can crack in minutes, you should use 4 or 5 completely random, unrelated words strung together. Something like correct horse battery staple, or Blue Ocean Coffee Cloud. This sounds too simple, right? But here is the science. Every character you add to a password increases the time it takes to crack it exponentially, not linearly. An 11-character password with symbols is much weaker than a 20-character password made of simple words. To a computer, a 25-character passphrase made of common words creates so many trillions of combinations that it would take billions of years to guess them all, even with the world's fastest supercomputers. You are taking the fight from a playground where the hacker is a giant to a galaxy where the hacker is an ant. Now let's dive into the mechanics of why this works. When you use a random passphrase, you are increasing what cryptographers call entropy, meaning a level of randomness and unpredictability. When you use P at SSW0RD1, the entropy is low because the structure is predictable. When you use Dancing Pencil Green Truck, the structure is long and lacks a predictable pattern. A brute force tool has to check every single combination of 20 or more characters. The number of possibilities becomes so large that it exceeds the number of atoms in the visible universe. By switching to long passphrases, you aren't just making it hard for a hacker, you are making it mathematically impossible within their lifetime. But wait, how are you supposed to remember a 20-character passphrase for every single website? You aren't. And this is the second part of the one-change strategy, the password manager. An intelligent person in the modern world does not know their own passwords. If you can memorize your password, it is probably too weak. A password manager like Bitwarden, 1Password, or KeePass acts as a digital vault. It generates truly random strings of 60 characters for every site you visit and stores them behind one master passphrase. Now, you only have to remember one long, random string of words. The manager handles the rest. This completely eliminates the danger of password reuse and ensures that even if one site gets breached, your other accounts remain perfectly safe behind 60 characters of gibberish that no human or machine could ever guess. Let's address the skeptics who say, but what if the password manager gets hacked? This is a valid question, but it misses the point of how encryption works. Good password managers use zero-knowledge encryption. This means they don't actually know your master password. Your data is encrypted on your device before it ever reaches their servers. If a hacker broke into the password manager's headquarters, they would just find a pile of encrypted junk that is useless without your specific master key. Compare that to the risk of using Summer 2024 on 14 different websites, and the choice becomes clear. The password manager is the fortress. Your current habits are an open field. However, even with a perfect passphrase, there is one more side door hackers love to use: phishing. This is where they don't break your password. They just ask you for it. You get an email that looks exactly like it's from Microsoft or Google, telling you there's a security problem and asking you to click a link and log in. The link takes you to a fake page that records your keystrokes. This is why the one change must include a technical backup, two-factor authentication, or 2FA. But not just any 2FA. Many people use SMS-based codes, the 6-digit numbers sent to your phone. Hackers can bypass this through SIM swapping, where they trick your phone company into moving your number to their device. The gold standard is a physical security key like a YubiKey, or an authenticator app that generates codes locally on your phone. With a physical key, even if a hacker has your 25-character passphrase, they still can't get in because they don't have the physical piece of hardware in their hand. Let's look at the 3-minute cracking claim again. If you have an 8-character password that is complex, meaning it has uppercase, lowercase, numbers, and symbols, a modern hacker using about $10,000 worth of equipment can crack it in roughly 8 minutes. If you drop the symbols and just use letters and numbers, it takes about 40 seconds. But if you move to a 16-character password, just doubling the length, even if it only uses lowercase letters, the time to crack it jumps from minutes to over 100 years. Length isn't just an advantage. It is a total game changer. It is the single most effective thing you can do to protect your digital life. Why do websites still tell us to focus on symbols? It's a legacy of an older era of computing. Many systems were built on old code that couldn't handle long strings of text. They forced you to use symbols to make up for the lack of length. But the modern web can handle very long passphrases. It is time for us to stop listening to outdated prompts and start using the science of entropy to our advantage. If a website forces you to change your password every 90 days, that is actually a sign of poor security. Frequent changes actually lead people to choose weaker, more predictable passwords like March 2024, June 2024, and so on. A single, long, unique passphrase is much more secure than a short one you change every 3 months. We also have to talk about biometrics like fingerprint ID and Face ID. These are incredibly convenient and actually very secure for everyday use. Why? Because they don't rely on a shared secret. When you type a password, you and the server both know the secret. When you use your thumbprint, the server doesn't actually store your fingerprint. It stores a mathematical representation of it that can't be reversed. More importantly, biometrics are on-device. A hacker in another country can't steal your thumbprint over the internet. Using biometrics on your phone and laptop as a quick gate to your password manager is a brilliant way to balance extreme security with daily convenience. What about those security questions? You know the ones. What was the name of your first pet? What is your mother's maiden name? These are a hacker's best friend. In the age of social media, all of that information is public. A hacker can go to your Facebook or Instagram, find a photo of your old dog or a post about your mother, and realize that your security question is actually a wide-open window. The one change rule applies here too. Never provide real answers to security questions. Treat them like a second password. If the question is, what city were you born in? Your answer should be a random string of words generated by your password manager. The system doesn't care if it's the truth. It only cares if the characters match. Accuracy is a vulnerability. Randomness is a shield. Let's talk about public Wi-Fi. You are at a coffee shop or an airport, and you connect to the free guest Wi-Fi. A hacker sitting 3 tables over can run a man-in-the-middle attack where they intercept all the data coming off your phone or laptop. If you aren't using a VPN or if the site you are visiting doesn't have a secure connection, they can sniff your login credentials as they travel through the air. This is why you should always look for the little padlock icon in your browser, HTTPS, and consider using a reputable VPN when you are away from home. Your password doesn't matter if you are broadcasting it on an open frequency for anyone with a $20 antenna to hear. Another hidden threat is the keylogger. This is a piece of malware that records every single key you press. You might accidentally download one by clicking a bad attachment in an email or visited a compromised website. Once a keylogger is on your system, it doesn't matter how long your passphrase is. The hacker sees you typing it in real time. This is why keeping your operating system and antivirus software updated is part of the OneChange ecosystem. Security isn't just about the words you choose. It is about the health of the machine you use to type them. Think about the Internet of Things. Your smart fridge, your Wi-Fi light bulbs, your smart doorbell. Most of these devices come with a default password like admin or 1234. Hackers use bots to scan the entire internet for these default credentials. Once they break into your smart light bulb, they can often use it as a pivot point to get onto your home network and attack your personal computer. When you bring a new device into your house, the very first thing you should do is change the default password to a long, unique passphrase. Your network is only as strong as its weakest link, and you don't want a light bulb to be the reason your bank account gets drained. In the world of computer knowledge, we talk about security in depth. This means you don't rely on just one thing. You use a long passphrase. You use a password manager. You use a physical 2FA key, and you keep your software updated. It sounds like a lot of work, but with a password manager, it actually becomes easier than the old way. You stop having to remember things. You stop having to worry about breaches. And you stop having to recover accounts because you forgot the name of your third-grade teacher. You trade a little bit of setup time for a lifetime of digital peace. I want you to realize that you are a target, not because you are famous or wealthy, but because you have computing power and data. Hackers use zombie computers to send spam, mine cryptocurrency, or launch attacks on government agencies. Your personal computer or your smartphone is a tool they want to steal. By having the same weak password as millions of other people, you are making it statistically likely that you will be a victim. By making the one change to long, unique passphrases, you are taking yourself out of the easy category and making yourself a target that isn't worth a hacker's time. They are looking for the low-hanging fruit. Don't be that fruit. Imagine the feeling of getting an email saying one of your favorite websites was hacked, and instead of panicking and rushing to change your passwords everywhere, you just shrug. You know that the password they stole was a 60-character random string that was only used for that one site. You know they can't use it to get into your email. You know they can't get past your physical security key. That is the power of the one change. It takes the stress away and puts you back in the driver's seat. We have to understand that the 3-minute gap is closing. As artificial intelligence becomes more integrated into hacking tools, they will get even better at predicting human patterns. They will analyze the way people from specific regions or age groups create passwords and refine their rules to crack them even faster. The only thing that AI can't beat is pure, raw length and randomness. Math is the only thing that doesn't age. A 20-character random passphrase is just as secure today as it will be in 20 years. It is a future-proof solution. Let's do a quick recap of the OneChange workflow. First, get a password manager today. Not tomorrow, today. Move your master password to a long passphrase, 4 random words that mean something to you but nothing to anyone else. Second, go through your most important accounts, email, bank, social media, and change them to long, unique strings generated by that manager. Third, turn on 2FA anywhere you can, preferably using an app or a physical key. This process might take you an hour, but it is the most productive hour you will spend all year. Many people ask, why don't the big tech companies just fix this? They are trying. There is a new technology called passkeys that is starting to gain traction. Passkeys replace passwords entirely with a unique digital signature stored on your device. When you want to log in, you just use your face or fingerprint, and the device handles the secret handshake with the website. This is the future, and companies like Google, Apple, and Microsoft are pushing it hard. But until every website on the planet adopts passkeys, we are still living in the world of the passphrase. The OneChange bridges the gap between the insecure past and the passwordless future. Think about your digital shadow. It is made of your conversations, your financial history, your private thoughts, and your professional identity. In the 21st century, our digital shadow is often more real than our physical one. It follows us everywhere, and it can be used to build doors or to close them. Protecting that shadow is an act of self-respect. It is an acknowledgement that your privacy and your security have value. Don't let a hacker using a cheap graphics card take that away from you in under 3 minutes. Computers are incredibly fast, but they are also incredibly literal. They can only solve the problems we give them. When you give a computer a short, complex password, you are giving it a puzzle it has already solved 1 billion times. When you give it a 25-character random passphrase, you are giving it a problem that would take longer than the age of the solar system to figure out. You are outsmarting the machine by using its own logic against it. You are using the vastness of mathematical space to hide your secrets. As you go about your day, look at the devices around you. Your phone, your laptop, your router. They are all whispering your data into the world. By taking control of your passwords, you are choosing what they say. You are ensuring that the digital front door to your life is not just bolted, but reinforced with 1,000 layers of heavy steel. The OneChange isn't a burden. It is a liberation. It is the end of Password 123 and the beginning of actual digital sovereignty. I hope this deep dive into the world of hacking and entropy has changed how you look at those little asterisks on your screen. They aren't just symbols. They are the thin line between a secure life and a total compromise. Make the change, get the manager, use the length, and find the peace of mind that comes from knowing you are no longer a target. The hackers are moving fast, but with a long passphrase, you are already light years ahead of them. Stay secure, stay random, and keep your digital life under your own lock and key. This is how you win the war for your data. One long, random word at a time.